Live. Indeed. Let's see. Audio, video. Give me the good stuff. Come on, YouTube. You know what to do, right? Of course you do. Waiting. Ah, here we go. Commercial. Good. We'll skip that. And hang on. Here I am. There's the channel. Audio, video. Yes. No. Yes. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore on this fine Tuesday. Tuesday is a twofold thing. On the one hand, it's the only day of creation in Genesis where God saw that it was good twice, to make up for the fact that he saw that it was good on Monday. On the other hand, Tuesday is the day when earth sinned, and instead of making a fruit tree bearing fruit, it only put forth and brought forth and yielded a fruit-bearing tree. Rav Kook and others before, but Rav Kook, outta Tshuva and the Lights of Repentance, the Lights of Returning, has a wonderful teaching about this, and he says that from the onset, it was supposed to be that every single part of the tree would have that same quality and that same taste and that same nourishment, let's say, of the final fruit, right, of the final product. But now the root, the trunk, the branches, the leaves, and the different twigs and the flowers, and only the final thing, which is the fruit, indeed has that nourishing, sustaining, and, well, capacity for life, right? That life-giving property, let's say. And I'm not talking about medicinal leaves and things right now. Let's leave that aside. The earth was supposed to put forth a fruit tree that bears fruit, but it brought forth a fruit-bearing tree. And in doing so, the earth is the first creation to sin. Mankind on Friday, right, was created from earth on the sixth day. And that inclination, let's say, towards missing the mark, towards sin, was already embedded within us, so to speak, because of the fact that we came from the earth and we house all of four elements inside of us. And earth sinned on Tuesday. So, right, that's today. So on the one hand, it's twice he saw that it was good, but on the other hand, there is something there where that went amiss. And since we are made from the earth, right, traditionally speaking, by the account of Genesis. Bunny ears, yeah, hey, Mr. Z is in the house. Anto is here. Hey, Anto. Yaakov is here. What day of Sfira is it? Is it 27? I think it's 27. Right, Tuesday? Oh, no, Wednesday. Yes, 27. 6 votes. The new Spaceballs. People, are you excited about the new Spaceballs? I love Spaceballs. 50% of you said yes. Finally, Mel Brooks for the win. 33% of you didn't even see the first one. That's gonna suck, 17. 14% of you, and 14% say, I could go either way. Yeah, alright. I have seen nothing about this Spaceballs that's coming out, says Magnus, but I'm sure Mel Brooks' version will be better. Well, what do you mean? Mel Brooks did not write it, nor is he directing it, but he is producing it. He is part of it. And, it's not going to be the same. I'm not expecting it to be the same. I'm expecting it to be funny and entertaining. I'm expecting it to make fun of all the horrible things that happened in Disney recently with the sequel trilogy. I'm hoping for a lot of good stuff. Let's hope they don't screw it up. Incidentally, I only recently learned that the guy who says when they're combing the desert, who says we ain't found shit, is actually the dude who later played Tuvok on Star Trek Voyager. I found that out like a week ago. I want to become Jew. Tell me, says Anir. Okay, well, go and convert. I'm not a converter. Go and convert and make it happen for yourself. Hello, Uncle. How are you? I'm doing well, Adri. And Arindam, Deb. Hi, Arin. Good for you. Good to see you. Good to see me. Good to be seen. And good for you that you're here. And good for me that you're here. It's so much fun to be here. Okay, LOL. Mel Brooks is still alive. I did not know. He's 99 years old. By the time the movie comes out, about a month away, a year away, he will be a centenarian, 100 years old. King Vaughn says, my dog is mad at me because I ran out of peanut butter and came too early. Ah, you know what? That's a shame. There's nothing like when you want peanut butter, right? You've got the bread or you've got the whatever it is, and you want to, maybe you even have the jam or the chocolate spread, whatever it is, and then, Or if you're going to make like a bird feeder with a pine cone and you don't have the peanut butter, that's too bad. It's really, really too bad. Now, the dog is mad at you. That's okay. The dog will get over it. show it some affection, show it some love. There are more ways than peanut butter to show love. We love Christian Zionism, says Sam. Indeed. Aaron says, I'm first time on your live. Hey, it's nice. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, explorer. Dude, you look like Rob Zombie. The name sounds familiar. I don't recall who Rob Zombie is, unfortunately. Where are you from? I'm in Israel, Aaron. Where are you from? All what we need is DMT, says Lucas. Well, I've never tried DMT. I'm not ruling it out. I haven't tried DMT. Tonight I have green tea with some, what is it, verbena, right? That lemony sort of herb. Oh, man. We can finally be bees this, says Wolfgang. Be bees this? What? Shalom Aleichem, comrade, says Andor. Andor? No, not Andor. Androctonus. Indeed, hello, you're from India. Nice to meet you. You speak Hebrew? Ken, Dr. Hopman. אני מדבר עברית. I speak fluent Hebrew. Is you a wizard? No, Don, I'm not a wizard. You don't live underground? No, one-way steps. I do not live underground. I know most bunnies do. But, you can think of me as like the March Hare, but I stayed until May. I made a steak, says Wolfgang. Well, good for you. What kind of a steak was it? Hey, no name OG, what's up? What's up? DM green tea. DM green tea? Samsung says, Rabbi Yeshua HaMashiach, I love you. No, I'm not Jesus, nor am I an anointed one, nor am I a rabbi. So that's 0 for 3. Mia says, why do Jewish people celebrate the new moon, and where is it in the Torah? Well, the new moon is the first commandment that was given to the children of Israel in Egypt in the book of Exodus, right? Adonai tells Moses, this new moon, right? This moon will be the first moon. Biblically speaking, Nisan, right? In the spring, the moon of Passover is the first month. But halachically speaking, as far as Rosh Hashanah, right, the holiday of trumpets, the Feast of Trumpets is concerned, Tishrei, the 7th month, is the first of the month. But it's there because the new moon symbolizes atonement, the new moon symbolizes renewal, the new moon symbolizes the divine feminine presence, the new moon symbolizes the people of Israel, humanity, and there's a lot going on there. And females, right, from the women at large. So it's in the Torah in the book of Exodus. And then he says the most beautiful olive-skinned women live in Israel. Or is it woman? It's just woman, singular, not plural. A super chat came in. Let's see. Hey, Luke is here. Good to see you, my man. Always look forward to your new hat. Shalom, friend. Shalom to you out there. And thank you ever so much. All the things that you give to, AdSense or Super Chat or Super Thanks or any of the supers goes to charity. 100% of it goes to charity. 2 payments have already been made through this channel, and they went to very good causes. Thank you, each and every one of you who contribute and who engage and who participate. It's not taken for granted. You like Bibi or Yair Golan? I don't like Bibi too much. I don't know anything about Yair Golan. So no. Yeah, I love Mel Brooks. I do too. People, what is your favorite Mel Brooks movie? I mean, mine is probably Spaceballs. My woman's is Robin Hood Men in Tights. B-Cat says, I appreciate you. And you. It's good to be, it's nice to have this digital connection, is it not? Spaceballs won't be woke. Mel is too ordinary to allow someone to ruin his vision. I concur, James. I would love to believe that. I want to think so. I really, really, really do. Because if I go there and it's going to suck, and, if it's going to suck because it doesn't make me laugh, that's one thing. If it sucks because it has this ideological wokeness to it, that's a whole other ballgame of suckness. I love Israel, says Aaron. Hey, that's nice. It's nice that India and Israel have this connection. Joel says, if being a Nazarite means you're taking a vow of separation because Nazir means separate, what does Nazareth mean? Nazareth is the name of a town. Nazir, or Nazira, male, female, is a Nazarite. You can spell it with an I or with an A, right? Nazirite or Nazarite. It's Nazir. Nazareth is the name of a town. Those who are from that town are called Nazarenes. There's also a sect of Christians who call themselves Nazarenes, regardless of living in Nazareth. But that's what Nazareth means. How's the weather? The weather is fine, Jamie. I mean, the sun set a few hours ago, and it's been cool here in Jerusalem, up in the mountains. But, yeah, the producers, ooh, that's a good one, of a great big Hollywood flop. How to pronounce Yod Hey Vav Hey. So the pronunciation of the explicit name, what's called Shem HaMeforash, is not exactly technically known to the masses. Some say it was hidden and will make a comeback. Some say that it's known, but it's not being publicized, right? It's not being made known to the people at large. And some people say it is like the Christians say it, right, when they pronounce it, though I don't think so. What's your view on gays, says a random TK, that they are homosexuals and that they are attracted to, same-sex partners? Or maybe they're just really, really happy. Either way, do what you want. That's what I say. That's my view on gays. Is Tikkun HaBrit real? Well, here's the thing, Mohammed. Here's the thing. You have Torah, and you have the oral traditions and the external teachings. In the Torah, there is no, well, let's put it this way. Tikkun HaBrit, right, the repairing or the adorning of the covenant is a real thing. The question is, and I've mentioned this before, right, that whole thing to do with spilling semen, wasting seed, it has some sort of indirect root in the Torah. And there is a ritual impurity that goes with seminal emission or ejaculation, be it with yourself, or be it at night, or be it with a partner. But that's having to do with ritual cleanliness, right? Ritual purity, not a question of being dirty or against law, right? Or against the Torah. Since according to the Torah, purity and impurity is through the natural cycle of life. It's part of what happens. So is Tikkun HaBrit real? Yes. Should you place such a huge emphasis on it? It depends on you and how far you want to take it. It's a very personal and individual thing. I've mentioned before, right? If you are exploring your body sexually, solo, right? That's one thing. If you're actually, right, finding out what gives you pleasure, what does not give you pleasure, if you're exploring your sexual being, that's one thing. If you're, if you're addicted to pornography and you can't function and it's crippling you and ruining your libido and messing up all your relationships and causing you to turn bitter and resentful, that's already psychologically and physically not okay. It's a very personal thing. But Tikkun HaBrit is definitely a real thing. I'm saying that if you do want to go that route, and if you do want to take it that way, just be real with yourself, be genuine, be honest with yourself on what it is that you feel about it. Because in the Torah itself, there is no prohibition. In the external teachings and in halacha, right, the oral Torah, many prohibitions against masturbation, many prohibitions against wasting seed, spilling seed, however you want to say it. I've lived, I've lived more of the stricter life, and I've lived a more of a liberal life in that sense. And I still maintain that self-pleasure is something which can be for the good, but it really, really depends. You need a lot of discernment. You need a lot of caution. You need a lot of knowing yourself biblically and like psychologically, to know yourself a bit better, to know truly and honestly where you stand on that and why. Because you could say and give yourself allowance to do certain things, it causes inner conflict and turmoil, and you end up throwing it all away, feeling like God hates you, being right cast into this pit of despair, sadness, like spiraling down, 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 down. And on the other hand, it's like the Torah never explicitly says do not masturbate. There is the sin of Onan, which was pulling out and spilling the seed on the ground when he was supposed to be impregnating his late brother's wife. That's yibum. That's a whole other thing. And there is the idea of a nocturnal emission making one impure. But it says, right, a man who would have, a man from whom what would it be, right? From whom seed will exit. It doesn't necessarily say that it's by your own doing or partnered or at night. Later on in the Zohar and in Halacha, right? Because Halacha is not made by the Zohar, but the Zohar speaks very, very terribly and horribly about those who spill their seed, who waste their seed. There's that whole thing. But I still maintain, despite it all, you have the written Torah, you have the oral Torah, you have Orthodox Halacha, you have the Zohar. You need to find your place in it. According to Orthodox Halacha, masturbation is wrong and it's terrible and it's awful and a lot of bad things happen. I used to think that. I don't think that way anymore, but I do think that you need to really, really be careful with it, because this is the life force you're talking about, right? This is part of how you bring life into creation. There's a lot of energy there, and there's a covenant there, right? There's a covenant with life, right? Since we are mini creators, as it were, being made in the image of God. And I think that there are times when, let's say, the laws of purity in marriage, there are times when it's really, really beneficial. Abstaining, right? Semen retention, all of this has its place, but you need to, it's very personal, it's very delicate, it's very fragile. So I'm not going to make any grand statements, but according to Orthodox halacha, it's wrong. Tikkun habrit is real. Pagam habrit is real. However, you also need to take into account that you are a sexual creature. You are a sexual being. Where are your boundaries? Where are your borders? Where are your fences? What a rant. Okay, let's continue. All Abraham and Moses and King David were herders. Was there a significant for it? Yes, there were 7, Shiva, right? That's Moses, Aaron, oh yeah, hold on a second. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Aaron, Joseph, and David. 7 shepherds. Yes, there is a great deal of significance to it. And those 7 correspond to 7 divine emanations, right? The 7 lower sfirot. Right, shepherds are protectors, shepherds are leaders, shepherds give life in the sense that they lead the herd away from, they lead them to greener pastures. You see what I'm saying, right? They're leaders and they're life givers in the sense that they bring you to a place of abundance, something like that. Okay, let's continue. Do Jews and Muslims worship same God? So fun short edits. People say in halacha, mostly people say yes. Some people might say no. I don't know enough about Islam to make a call or a ruling, so I have no idea. Opinion on Khazarian Empire, Zimbab says that they converted, and so they are all Jews. That's my opinion about the kingdom of Khuzar. And I do love Rabbi Yehuda Levi's book, Sefer HaKuzari. What's on your head? Bunny ears. I have bunny ears on my head. Judaism is older than Hinduism, actually. You know what? I'm thinking that they both have like a shared root in the human as sovereign and that idea of unity and that idea of like mind, body, spirit. There are different things that correspond. The pantheon of gods of Hinduism has nothing to do with Judaism. We do not have a multiplicity of gods. We do not have different avatars, right? In the same way, no. But there is, at least in certain Vedas that I've read and teachings that I've been exposed to, there are certain similarities between certain Hindu teachings and Hebrew teachings, and I like that. And I think they originated around the same time. Maybe the Hindu faith has some years over the classic Jewish faith, meaning when we got the Torah, right, became a people in Egypt and that whole thing, which was what, 3,600 years ago? And I think even though the roots of Judaism reach all the way back to Eden, I would say that the roots of Hinduism, in the sense of the individual, not the pantheon of gods, but the individual, as that also has its, reaches back to Eden. Are you rabbit? Yes, I am, Suda. I'm a rabbit. I'm a rabbit in your headlights. It's a Tom York song, right? Yeah. Have you seen Passion of the Christ? Your thoughts? No, Valerie, I have not seen Passion of the Christ. I think, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what I would say or what my thoughts would be. Have you learned of Tantra? So Zebulu asks, I know of it. I haven't learned it. So I'm going to say no, but I know of it. Why are you wearing bunny ears? Oh, because I felt like it, Ryan. That's why. Fun says, idol worship is strictly prohibited in Judaism and Islam. Yes, that's correct. That's what I've heard as well. That connection might be due to Zoroastrianism, which was the first monotheistic religion. Shurya says, yes, there are connections between the Hebrew faith and Zoroastrianism. That much is correct. And again, I do consider the roots of Judaism, right? The roots of the Hebrew faith to go all the way back to Eden. That this does not mean that the Torah as we know it now, right? It's a Torah of this world, of a world of good and evil. But that spiritual path, that spiritual way, before it became, let's say, organized religion, and that I suppose could be said to many religions where their roots are higher, by the time they reach this world, a lot of things become tainted, if you will, with organization, with good and evil, with the capacity for corruption and all that. John says, why do you sandwash Government officials who invoke Amalek, which you know is genocidal rhetoric. You have consistently attempted to semantically argue they haven't, but they objectively clearly have. I have not semantically argued they haven't. Whenever people say Amalek, I'm against that because Amalek is a specific people. Amalek is a specific nation, and we are supposed to enact a genocide on them. And we don't know who they are nowadays. I would love it to keep it that way because I don't want to kill anybody. I don't want to murder anybody or kill anybody or genocide anybody. Now, there are those who say Amalek about different people. What they mean basically is that person is deserving of death. And so they use Amalek to kind of be more specific. Amalek is the nemesis of Israel, right? That counterpart of Israel, the dark side of the force. So I have not consistently attempted to semantically argue anything like that. Actually, you're mistaken. I don't think I've ever argued anything like that. If people use Amalek, they should use it properly. And if they mean deserving of death, there are many other ways to say that a person is deserving of death without calling him Amalek, which we are commanded to eradicate from under the heavens. So there's a big difference there. And I, as a man of words, and I am a man of words, I do attribute a lot of significance to using the proper terms for proper things. Sure, you can borrow things, but when it's a question of life and death, using Amalek frivolously is not something I take kindly to, and I don't take it lightly either. So you are mistaken. It is genocidal rhetoric. I'm agreeing with you. When have I disagreed with that? I've attempted to semantically argue they haven't? When? Really, I'm actually asking, John, when did I semantically argue that people have not said of others that they are Amalek? I know for a fact that they have. Why would I say, maybe you misunderstood me? Because I'm definitely on board with not using Amalek unless you actually are talking about the nation of Amalek. Thoughts on Thailand? I've never been, Somili, but I hear good things. You've been in jail? No, Dr. Hoffman, I have not been in jail. Why? Have you? Have you ever been incarcerated? Let's go the poll. 108 votes, 32% of you. 40% of you haven't even seen the first one? For shame. Go, get off the stream, swipe away, put the phone down, go watch Spaceballs. Come on, people. 32% say, yay, finally, Mel Brooks for the win. 18% could go either way. 10% of you think it's gonna suck. Gan Eden, hey, I am here, Achi. Hello, hello. Just curious, what's this stream about? Hope everyone's having a good day. Jaman, it's faith, spirituality, religion, self-development, or anything that you want to bring up in the chat. I'm game. Talk about anything and everything. Mel Brooks is goated. Agreed. Definitely. Can you get me any crack? Heavy. Can I get you crack? The only crack I'll be able to get you is the crack of my ass. You don't want that. Okay. Are you on welfare or ET? I don't know what, or EBT. I don't know what EBT is. No, I'm not on welfare. I have a very fulfilling career. I make plenty of money. I live a life of abundance and richness. I give thanks to the Most High God because I've known times when I was unemployed, and I've known times when I was working minimum wage, dead-end, soul-crushing jobs. I know what it's like to go in, day out, and not do anything that has even remotely to do with that which you want to engage, in life with. So I'm so very thankful, so very grateful. Indeed. Because I know what it's like not to have a good job. I know what it's like not to have a career. Are you from a Jewish family? Yes, I am. Born and raised in Israel. Wascally Wabbit. Yes, I am. I am a Wascally Wabbit. What do you think about McDonald's? Says Red Plant. I think that they are a burger joint. I'm kind of with Bill Burr on this, that when they started making wraps and salads and breakfast all day, it's like they really lost their way. But I don't know. I never really bought anything from McDonald's in my life. Council says, seventh-day Sabbath never changed since Garden of Eden. Well, funnily enough, the Edenic Sabbath actually never took place, right? Humankind was created, so to speak, on the sixth day, according to the account of creation. On that very day, we sinned and we were expelled. We were expelled before the sun had gone down, meaning that the Sabbath that was supposed to come in never did. And we are now living in a world between worlds. The Edenic Sabbath, that is where we are heading to. And when we arrive there, God willing, by our own merit and by the grace of Adonai, together unified as a one human race, we will be able to partake of the fruit of the tree of life. The Edenic Sabbath that never took place, that is what people call the world to come, or the coming world. Rasputin, says Sensi. Yes, people call me Rasputin. That's true. Are Jews involved in evil organizations, including conspiracies? Well, Dama, Jews are involved in many things, from industry, medicine, art, science, technology, revolutions, leadership, in government, out of government. All kinds of what's the word I'm looking for? Subversive, type people. Wherever there is something going on, you'll find some Jew there as well. Are there evil Jews? Yes. Are there evil organizations? Yes. Are all Jews evil? No. Are all organizations evil? No. Some Jews are conspiracy theorists. Some Jews actually spread conspiracy theories, no doubt. Some Jews are part of conspiracies, no doubt. I have no knowledge of, the percentage-wise what's going on there. I have no idea. Are Jews involved in evil organizations? I'm going to say yes. How many of them? I don't know. I have no idea. Not a lot of them, I think. We're just busy trying to keep our head above water. There's evil people in every ethnicity, religion, Zebulu says. Exactly correct. If you have a group of people, immediately you will have values and you will have metrics and you will have standards, and some people will be on the top and some people will be on the bottom and some people will be on the left and some on the right. It's always something that continues to split, because when you have a congregation, a group, a civilization, a collective, unless you're the Borg, you have a lot of differences between you. The Talmud says that anyone who is not Jewish is an animal. Is that true? Jesus did not eat pork, says. No, that is not true. That is the opinion, perhaps, of one or two sages that do appear in the Talmud, Mishnaic sages, if I'm not mistaken, from before the Talmud. However, it appears there, but it's not rabbinic law. It's not halacha to be a Jewish supremacist. That is not according to the rabbinic law. The fact that it says it there, that you could argue against it and you can argue for it in the context of the time when it was written, and oh, there's a mosquito here. And even though I'm vegan and I try not to kill living things, I do kill them if they attack me. If I see it, I'll try to kill it. So I, for one, do not believe that we're any different than the Gentiles, right? The other nations. We are all humanity. We are all human beings. We are all earthlings made in the image of God. And that's it. And there are people who are supremacist. There are people who are bigoted. There are people who are racist, right? Bigots and racists. Again, it's whenever you have a group, especially if there's an in-group and an out-group and an othering of others, that's what you're going to have. You're going to have people who think that they are better by virtue of their skin color, by virtue of where they were born, by virtue of their lineage or ancestry, by virtue of, I don't know, people will find reasons, to confirm their own biases. And if they think that they are better, inherently sort of better, then they'll find the reason. They'll make it work. Hey there, says, for cool kids only, are you Zionist or Jewish? I'm a Jewish Zionist. And happy to be one, but I don't excuse all the horrible things that people do in the name of Zionism. That's kind of where I draw the line. But I definitely am a biblical Zionist and a modern-day Zionist, though I don't follow it blindly, right? I'm critical of the government, I'm critical of the army, I'm critical of the establishment and of the state of Israel. But I am indeed a Jewish Zionist. I love all people, says Brandy. Even if Zionists hate us, I still love them. Well, I, for one, do not hate you. I don't think Zionism is about hatred at all. People are very, very mistaken when they try to categorize Zionism as anything to do with racist, hateful, sort of like an ideology. That's not what it's about at all. Dama says, do you believe that in some religions the earth has a dome that is impossible to penetrate? What do you mean? Of course, I don't think that that's the case. I think that there is a metaphysical and spiritual element to the holy texts. And when people talk of the firmament, it's not necessarily a physical firmament, right? We have the sky and we have, right, the atmosphere and the ionosphere and the stratosphere and all those other spheres. We have the place that's outside of Earth. We have Earth, physically speaking, right, in the universe, going around the sun, that whole trip. And then we have the metaphysical and spiritual elements of creation, where you could argue, just like it says in the scripture, like 4 corners of the earth, but the earth isn't flat. The 4 corners symbolize something, right? The 4 corners, each one corresponding to a different name of the tetragrammaton, or of Yod He Vav He, meaning all-encompassing. And again, it has to do with the sphere, it has to do with a straight line, it has to do with a lot of things that are more esoteric in nature. So there are times you need to learn how to discern, you need to learn how to read proper text in a way, or kosher text in a way, where you'd be able to give things their proper interpretation, their proper meaning, because things exist in parallel. You have the face value, regular meaning of the words, and then you have the esoteric meaning of the words, and it's a whole spectrum in between. Hey, Bats is here. Hey, Bats. A wonderful donation. Many, many thank you. It all goes to charity. Hopefully, I mean, it's the 28th. At some point in the next few weeks, I'm going to get April's payment. So far, it's, I think, something like over $400. So we will be... Now, it's been brought up a couple of times. Maybe this payment I'm going to split. Half of it will go to some sort of an organization here locally in Jerusalem. Half of it will go to homeless people in Jerusalem that I'll just give out. Now, I document and I'm transparent about the analytics and what goes into my bank account and what donations I give to. If it's a charitable cause that's an organization, I can show you a screenshot. I won't be able to show you a screenshot of me giving money to the homeless or the needy on the street because I'm not going to film it or document it or do anything like that. I'm literally just going to put it there. So, yeah, FYI. It might happen that way. Who is Esther? Esther is Hadassah, B-Dog. Esther is the Persian name of Hadassah, and from the scroll of Esther. Stop covering up the truth, says Dama. What? Who? What? What truth? What truth? Oh, another super chat came in. I am Mark says, please teach quickly how to invoke Psalm 4 blessing. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm really not sure what you mean. Let's look at Psalms 4, the JPS Tanakh version of 1917. Okay. What do you mean how to invoke? Listen, do you want to invoke blessings in your life? Walk with humility before God. Walk with humility before your fellow human beings. Walk with humility before your fellow earthlings. And that is how I think all blessings will come to you, because I'm a staunch believer in humility. I think it's the key to all positive attributes and all good personality traits. And even though it doesn't guarantee you 100% an absolute wonderful life, it is probably the best thing that you can start doing here, now, today, tonight, whoever you are, wherever you are. Bit by bit, thought by thought, word by word, deed by deed, to bring more humility, invite more humility into your being, into your speech, into the way that you interact with others, you will get back dividends, and it pays back dividends almost immediately, and for life. So if you want blessings, by all means, read the psalm, but know that it's within your grasp, and in the way that you treat others, that's primarily how blessings will come to you, because we are all connected in a very big way. Right? We are all humans. We are all earthlings. Right? Love your neighbor, love your God, right? Love your fellow, love your God. There are arrest warrants for your leadership at both ICJ and the ICC. They have invoked Amalek regarding Gaza. That's actions, rhetoric, and intent. I still think that its actions might be there. Rhetoric with Amalek is there. There is still no intent to genocide everybody over there in Gaza. If that was the case, the war would be over in 2 or 3 days and Gaza would be, a bunch of sand by now. However, Israel did continue to give humanitarian aid and designate humanitarian zones. They did their best and are still continuing to do their best over there in Israel, over here in Israel, that is. I mean, the people fighting to minimize civilian casualties, unlike Hamas, who want everybody dead for the cause and become martyrs. We are not a death cult. Hamas is. It's a big difference. But let's, to your point. I don't really give a crap what the ICJ or the ICC say. What I say is that if there are war criminals and criminals who are, right, crimes against humanity that have been enacted and carried out by the leadership, they should stand trial and be brought to justice. Okay. Now, the ICC and the ICJ have a long history of being anti-Israel, and the different resolutions, the UN as well, so I don't go with that. They're not an authority as far as I'm concerned. I mean, in the sense of, I'm sure that there are good people there, I don't trust them according to the history so far, is what I mean to say. So, if they have indeed invoked Amalek, the rhetoric is there, and I bemoan that, because that's not okay. The actions, some people say it, I still think it's not the intent of Israel, and that matters a great deal when you're talking about the technical definition of genocide. If Israel wanted and was intentionally trying to genocide the people, it would have been over a long time ago and it wouldn't be so many years. Plus, the population keeps growing. Israel in the past and probably still has gone through many painstaking different, directives and things in order to minimize civilian casualty. And so even if you want to claim that the rhetoric and the intent and the action are there, I say no, you're wrong. The rhetoric indeed is there. There's no denying that. Some people say Amalek. I'm against that, and I think that that's abhorrent and that's not cool. Actions, I think individuals may be acting that way, but not the army at large, not the government at large, not the state at large. And no intent for genocide on the part of Israel. So it's not a genocide, it's a defensive war that Israel is fighting. And just because we are winning, God willing, we will win and have a decisive victory, that doesn't make us genocidal. And it doesn't mean that we're not fighting a defensive war. You are allowed to win a decisive victory in a defensive war. Hamas, Fatah, Hezbollah, Al-Aqsa Brigade, and all the people, the leadership of the nations next to us, they need to acknowledge Israel. They need to lay down their arms. They need to not raise a weapon against us again, and we can have peace. But definitely, Israel is not blameless. Israel is not without fault. Nevertheless, as an Israeli who is not following the party line and who is not buying 100% of the Israeli Zionist government narrative, and I don't. I try to have a synthesis of the different narratives as they come to me. Right? I don't believe 100% of what the Palestinian leadership says, and I don't believe 100% of what the Israeli leadership says. I try to make my own mind based on things that I know, things that I've read, things I've experienced. So it's a synthesis. It's not something I follow blindly on either side of this conflict. But I know the history, and I've lived here, and there's something to be said. You can argue over Netanyahu and the government and all that. I want Netanyahu gone. I will be voting in the next election after 20 years of not voting for this reason. Are you a professor or scholar at a university or college? No, I am not El Caballero. I am not a scholar, not a sage, not a rabbi, not a teacher, not a preacher. I'm just a simple dumbass in the Middle East with a cup of tea and a phone. That's all I am. That's all I ever will be. Right? I'm not anything else other than that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, that's really, really good. Indoctrinated, says Matt. You know what? I don't deny that I am probably indoctrinated. The thing is that I'm trying to break away from the doctrine by also listening to the other side. It doesn't mean that I take what they say as gospel, so to speak. It means that I'm open to listening to it and then making up my mind based on what I have in front of me. Right? I use the tools that are available when they're available. And I'm not there behind closed doors. I'm not in the cabinet. I'm not on the war council. I'm not in the parliament. I have no idea. But to call me indoctrinated, that's a cop-out, because I definitely do say that Israel is partly at fault and that they are not blameless. Somebody who is 100% indoctrinated or brainwashed would say, no, Israel is doing everything right and we haven't done anything wrong and the world is all against us. It's like, no, I don't say that. I say that Israel is also at fault. Israel is also at blame. De-radicalize both sides, I say. That will bring peace that much faster. Both sides of this conflict need to be de-radicalized. Lunatic, says Carlos. Oh, you're darn tootin' right about that. I am indeed a lunatic, but I also know my shit. So you calling me a lunatic, I don't go with it. Mandy, hey Mandy, thanks for your contribution. A super sticker. All of it goes to charity, good people. So if you want to give. If you want to watch ads, watch ads. It will all go to charity. As I said, I'm very transparent about it. I have the analytics and my bank account and the receipts from the organizations we've given to. You've given to. Okay. What did Jesus mean when they said they're synagogue of Satan? Well, I'm not a Christian. Ask a Christian. I have no idea what they meant. Definitely have no idea. Israel are not very real, says the lo-fi pimp. Great name, lo-fi pimp. Well, unfortunately for you and many others, Israel is indeed a thing. Whether it's the modern day state of Israel, whether it's the broken kingdom of Israel, right? You don't de-radicalize by putting people in an open-air prison for decades. Really, an open-air prison? Let me ask you this. Have you ever gone to Egypt and told them that they have put the Gazans in an open-air prison? No. I'd wager you haven't. Why? because you only care about when Jews do it. You only care about when Israel does it. That is a double standard, and it's false and it's a lie. Likewise, if that really was the case, and it's an open-air prison, from 1948 to 1967, Egypt ruled Gaza. They didn't establish a Palestinian state. In the end of the 70s, when Israel made peace with Egypt, we offered them Gaza to establish a Palestinian state, and they said, no, you keep it, that's cool. Likewise, Jordan, the West Bank of the Jordan and East Jerusalem were in the hands of the Jordanians. They never bothered to establish a Palestinian state. Do you know why? Because there is no such thing. There never was such a thing. Now, I hope maybe we can come to a two-state solution. Maybe. I naively, optimistically, stupidly still think that if we de-radicalize both sides, it might be able to be done. And I would love to live side by side with, my Ishmaelite cousins, as it were. But for you to say that, no, I disagree. I disagree. Jews and Muslims lived peacefully hundreds of years in Holy Land, but what's happened now? How can we solve it? Well, you can solve it, and you can solve it by being a good person. That's how you, as an individual, solve world problems. You want to solve world problems? Start with yourself. Try to do better. Try to be better. That's it, right? Humility. Go walk with humility before Adonai. That's it. That's what that's really literally how it starts, right? And then as time goes on, you will know what to do next, and because you will have this guiding spirit informing you, something like that. Why are you a lunatic? Oh, because Jay edits. Because I think, as Seal said, and I quote him all the time, we're never going to survive unless we get a little crazy. Let's go with the poll. 200 votes in. Spaceballs, the new one. 44% of you didn't even see the first one. Oh my God, people. 28% say yes, finally Mel Brooks for the win. 16 say, man, you could go either way. 11% of you think it's gonna suck. God, I hope it doesn't suck. But yes, Jews and Muslims under certain caliphates, under certain rules, right, and leaderships in Muslim countries, in Arab countries, and in the Holy Land, lived in a pretty decent way, where there was freedom of freedom of worship, freedom of religion, and that whole thing. We were second or third class citizens, right? We were dhimmis, and we paid the skull tax, the jizya. But that's Islam for you. That's part of the deal. And Jews for hundreds of years were treated pretty well, relatively speaking, certainly relative to how they were treated in Europe at the time. So it wasn't always that Muslims and Jews did not get along. That wasn't the case. For hundreds of years, Muslims and Jews fairly got along. We can solve it, says Anon. Give the Israelis a set date to leave and open all borders to Israelis for 48 hours. After that, anyone in Israeli should be fair game. That's how it should be until it's Palestinian AG. I don't know what AG is, but okay, sure. I don't think that's going to happen. Israel is here to stay. The people of Israel live. I know it is a thorn in your sides. I understand, but that's it. This is it. Now, should the leadership or the Zionist Congress, should it have taken Argentina? Should it have taken Uganda or the Kimberley region of Australia? Should it have taken the parts of the Soviet Union that were offered? Maybe, but it didn't. And here we are, back in the land of our ancestors, in the land of our fathers, the land of our mothers, the land of our temples. And again, I want to live in peace and prosperity with my neighbors inside and around this holy land. There are rivers of blood and guts running through this city, and so much conflict, and so much war, and so much terrorism, and it's awful, and it's hell. In many ways, it's a lovely, lovely land, but it's hell to live here in a lot of ways, because you are born into a state of emergency. You are born into an ongoing bloody conflict, and it's terrible for all sides involved. So if you're saying, give the Israelis a set day to leave, good luck with that. I don't see that happening. Do you believe in Gan Eden, says Turtle? Well, Gan Eden, or Garden of Eden, there's a physical, metaphysical, and spiritual element to this. Do I believe in it? Yes, but it's a waiting room. Right? There's a higher Eden and there's a lower Eden, and they are waiting rooms. That's pretty much what they are. It's not the final destination. It's not the final destination, right? It's where we are supposed to go back to and partake of the fruit of the tree of life that is in the garden. Right? Gan Eden means Garden of Eden. Free Palestine, says Saeed. I agree. Free Palestine from Hamas. Free Palestine from terrorism, whether it's Muslim or Israeli. Free Palestine from their oppressive, religious, warmongering, bloodthirsty death cult of a regime. Free them, because there are indeed innocent people in Gaza. There are innocent people in Judea and Samaria, the west bank of the Jordan. There are innocent people who are stuck between a rock and a hard place, between their terrorist Islamic regimes and between the IDF, and they get caught in the crossfire. Israel tries to minimize the civilian casualties altogether. Hamas try to raise the civilian casualties and maximize it altogether. But yes, may we all be free of terrorism. May we all be free of this situation. May war and bloodshed and terrorism be taken out of creation. Even right now, as I'm speaking these words, may we know peace and prosperity and love and embrace each other in our shared humanity. Eventually, we will get there. I don't know if through hate and war or through love and human embrace. I have no idea how it will come about. Why does Israel worship Baal, says Tish Fakos. We don't. We haven't worshipped foreign deities as a people since the beginning of the time of the Second Temple. So, give or take 2,400 years. So Israel did worship many foreign deities in the past, even when the temple was standing, the first one. But when the second temple arrived and was built, soon afterwards, the inclination to worship false deities and foreign gods, or to engage in foreign worship of the Hebrew God, that was taken away from us, and we have not done it en masse since. Are there individuals who still worship foreign gods and false deities? For Israel, I mean false. Likely, but Israel as such, as a people, do not worship Baal any longer. The living Christ loves you and he waits at the door for you, says Draw Me Like One of Your French G. Titanic reference. I saw Titanic once. All right. Cinematically, it had some nice moments. Okay. As for Jesus, or Christ rather, yes. No, I'm not a follower of Jesus. I'm not a follower of a dead man. And that's what he is. He's a dead man. That's it. Even if he was an anointed man, he is now an anointed dead man. That's all he is. I mean, to me, you can think he's God, Messiah, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Nobody's taking that away from you. It's all good. It's all good. I just think he's a dead man, a righteous dead man. Why do the Tuches Jews support Hamas? They even have photo shoots with Hamas leaders, yes, in Iran, and have met with the supreme leader. Oh, you say it right. That's right. If you don't believe me, just Google it. Yes, I know that they do. They consider the modern-day Zionist, socialist, secular state of Israel to be against the word of God and not worthy of existing because of that. They are staunch believers in the spiritual before the physical, while the modern-day Zionist people are more with the physical and then the spiritual, if that. But, all right, we are a Jewish democratic state, and they say, no, that's an abhorrent thing, that should not be. You should be a theocratic Hebrew Jewish state with Sanhedrin, with a monarchy, with God, with prophets, and all that. And until that, no state of Israel. And it's better to stay in the diaspora, in foreign lands, than go against the word of God as they perceive it. Now, they basically base this heavily on the three oaths of the Song of Songs, right? Do not awaken the love until it shows desire. In other words, don't act until something happens. On the other hand, as I've said many times, you have the dry bones of Ezekiel, where the physical foundation is built and established, and only then the spiritual contents is placed inside of it. Do Jews often break God's commands? Well, we all fall from grace every single day. We all break commandments every single day. The thing is that, right, you cannot live a righteous life 100%. You are a human being. You're fallible. You're faulty. You're broken in a big way. And the thing is not to not break commandments. The thing is that if you break commandments or commands, do what you can to get up, dust yourself off, and walk righteously before God. Do it in such a way where you will be able to minimize breaking, right, the commands. But do Jews often break God's commands? I think everybody often breaks God's commands. It's a question of what is it that you put the emphasis on? What is the lens through which you view the commandments of Adonai? Furthermore, more than half of the commandments in the Hebrew Torah, right, and Halacha have to do directly with the ritual worship of the temple. or indirectly as well. So we are left with a lot of commandments that mean a lot, and they are wonderful, but you could argue that we are breaking the commandments of sacrificial offerings by not having a temple right now and bringing the offerings. Do you see what I'm saying? So Jews often break God's commands. Yes. Is it always up to us? Also, yes, because we, again, use the tools that are available when they're available. And if we don't have a temple and we have other ways of worshiping, and we do, we should do that. If it's the individual before his creator, do that. Right? Whether it's prayer, fasting, meditation, giving charity, whatever the case may be, do what you can as an individual. And Jews are individual people. Jews are a nation, and like everybody else, they make mistakes. So yes, I would say that Jews often do break God's commands, but they also often don't. And it's not something that cancels each other out. It doesn't work like that. I am a cyber bully, said Said Hassan. Hey, good. Good. I mean, it's not good, but good for you that you're willing to admit it. What commandments were broken in the Brooklyn tunnels? I don't know what went on with those Brooklyn tunnels. I have no idea. I have zero idea what went on with those Brooklyn tunnels. I hear about them, and I know it was a year or two ago or more, a few years ago. I have no idea what that was about. No idea at all. Would you say the conflict is the Romans' fault, says Sign Snipster? No, the conflict, I mean, if you're talking about Rome, then the conflict is Judea's fault, the kingdom of Judah, right? That's the fault lies with us. Eventually and ultimately, the fault lies with us, because you can make the argument, and many people do, that if the children of Israel acted like the children of Israel, right, and if we held up that banner and rallied around it, then all of the enemies would make peace with us, and there would be no more war. And it's on us to make the peace by being who we are meant to be, acting the way we are meant to act, fulfilling the covenants and the commandments that we carry. And as long as we are not doing that, there will be enemies around us to remind us exactly who we are and what we are supposed to be doing. And as long as we're not doing that, there will be the sort of Damocles, if you will, over our head, that you know, like the Torah says, if you screw up, you'll get kicked out of the land. It happened a few times already. I don't rule out it happening again. So the Romans, no, the Romans were just the Romans. They did their thing. Israel needs to take responsibility for what Israel is doing and what Israel is not doing, as individuals, as a nation, right, as a collective, a group. As a people, we need to understand that part of the yoke and burden of Torah is precisely that. It is a yoke. It is a burden. It is something that you carry, and it's a heavy load, but this is what we are tasked with. This is part of our mission in life as Hebrew men and Hebrew women. Now, I don't have anything against people who are atheist or secular or I don't know what. To each his own. But if we're talking about what the Torah says, and you're talking about conflict, and you're saying, is it the Romans' fault? I would say, sure, the Romans brutally quelled the different uprisings here in Judea, and not least the Bar Kokhba revolt, and they burned the temple down, and all of that. But by the time Rome burned the temple down, it was already burned from the inside. Do you see what I'm saying? They just burned the external building. It was the Jews, it was the people of Judea, it was the kingdom of Judah, it was the Yahud who burned down the temple before it actually physically was burned by Rome. Jerusalem fell long before the Romans set it on fire. And that is not the Romans' doing, that was our doing. The Torah is very clear about that. It's like, don't be proud, walk humbly, have some wisdom, keep to the Torah, keep the commandments, cleave to the covenant between you and your heavenly Father, as it were. And good things will come. And if you don't, if you break the Sabbath, if you don't free the slaves, if you don't keep the Sabbath of the land, if you steal and if you cheat and if you are full of adultery and bloodshed and murder, then you'll get your asses handed to you, and you will be sold to slavery in faraway lands, the language of which you do not speak, and you will be left in squalor and poverty, and a bit of you might remain. And then you'll finally open your eyes and make a comeback to the covenant, to the Torah, and then to the land, or again the other way around, depending on how you view it. The Romans, no, they were just doing their thing. It's up to us to do our thing. Cherev lo ta'avor be'artzecha, it says, right? A sword will not come to pass in your country. And Rashi, very famously, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, the commentator of the 11th century, he says, if the Jews, right, do their job, as it says in the Torah, The blessings will come, and one of those blessings is that a sword will not pass through your country. And Rashi there says, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, the commentator, says, not even one nation to have a shortcut through your land to go and fight another nation. The peace that would be so all-encompassing of the region, of the world, perhaps, eventually, that not only will you have no war in Israel, there won't even be a foreign nation who comes through like a shortcut through you in order to get to a different nation to wage war upon them. It would be that significant. It would have that much of a greater influence if you just get your act together, children of Israel. Okay. Let's continue. You and Paul are strangers to Jesus. Are you talking to me or are you talking to someone in the chat? Your empire will fall and the world is watching, says Newt Jehu. Really? It's an empire? Israel is an empire? Please tell me, who is the emperor and where does this empire stretch? Where is this? Do we have colonies anywhere? What empire is this that you speak of? It's a tiny, tiny piece of land the size of New Jersey. Come on now. Empire. It was an empire when King Solomon was in charge. I'll give you that. John says, why have all the Israeli scholars, experts on genocide disagreed with you? They are the world's leading experts and they have concluded intent, action, and rhetoric. They're the world's leading experts. Okay, first of all, Israeli scholars and experts on genocide say that it is a genocide. I would love it if you would cite a source or something. And if I miss it in the chat, and this is in general, if I miss what you're saying in the chat, I'm not ignoring you and I'm not filtering you or banning you or intentionally not reading what you're writing. It's just that it's moving very quickly. There are over 130 people here right now. Sometimes it moves very quickly. I see something here and I address it over here. So leave a comment because I answer or address every single comment that is addressed to me. So please do that. And I would love some sources. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I would love some sources on which Israeli scholars and experts on genocide say that it is indeed all of those three things which constitute a proper genocide, technically speaking. But that's the point. Zionists don't keep up the Torah, breaking rules of God. No, you are mistaken. Zionists, many of them are religious Jews who are Zionists, who simply say, this is the land of our forefathers. There was a Jewish presence here throughout all of the exiles. In all of time in the diaspora, there was a Jewish presence here, thousands of years, unbroken chain of Jewish presence in the land of Judah, in the land of Israel. An Israeli presence, an Israelite presence has been here for thousands of years. Now, and then they said, okay, and we want to make a comeback as a people, not just to have a small presence in the land. We want to get back there. That's Zionism. That's what that is. It's not, let's kick everybody out. It's not only, it's only for us. It's not, we'll wage war and slaughter everyone. No, it's the Hebrew people going back to the Hebrew land. The people of Israel going back to the land where the tribes of Israel waged war against the 7 nations, Joshua and the Israelite army. So it's not breaking the rules of God. You're mistaken. Depending on the halacha which you follow, depending on the rabbinic law which you follow, some may claim, yes, it has its roots in the Bible, but the modern day state of Israel is a socialist, secular government and not a religious and sacred theocracy or monarchy. And so, by virtue of that, of those facts, right, it has no legitimate claim to exist as Israel. And they say that is breaking God's word or rules. Sorry. I don't agree. I don't agree at all. I think that despite all of Israel's shortcomings, there's righteousness and there's benevolence and there's wonder and there's good here and there's kindness here. Despite all of Israel's faults, despite all the things that it does, right, that the country, that the state, the army, I don't know who does, that are not good. There is a lot of good, and we do give a lot of good to the world, and nobody can deny that. Whether it's in, all the different industry, technology, innovation, military, advances, or whether it's going to disaster areas and places where there were typhoons or hurricanes or tsunamis or I don't know what, and lending a hand. So Israel is doing its thing. It's failing in certain things. It made plenty of mistakes, and I'm not disputing that. But I believe that at its core, Israel is righteous, and Israel is a force for good. However, nowadays, it's very easy to see why people are saying, no, it isn't. It's illegitimate. It needs to be eradicated. Like my man said before, open up the gates for 48 hours, let all the Israelis leave. That's not going to happen, but I understand where people are coming from. I think it's a hell of a double standard. I think the world has double, triple, and quadruple standards when it comes to the people of Israel. And I think that's shameful. I think it's shameful that the UN, for instance, in the last few years has put like this insane amount of attention on Israel for many, many years, while completely, relatively speaking, ignoring everything else that's going on in the world. Resolution-wise, the numbers are staggering. Staggering. Israel, as opposed to all the other nations of the UN. People are fascinated, and they give this place a lot of attention. Too much attention. Second temple, says Mohammed, formed, no problem, I support, but not create any problem on Al-Aqsa Mosque. They are the third house of God. Prophet got to meet God from that place. Otherwise, I'm doing the same like Saladin. Not sure what you mean. What you mean is you're not against a temple, but it should not be on the on the masjid, right? On the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Okay. JK says, hi, I asked you recently if you believe there's life outside our world. I wanted to ask, what is the Jewish faith's view on life outside our world? The faith has no view. The Torah very famously does not mention anything about what happens after you die, by the way. I mean, you could think of it, never mind. The Torah is about this life, this world, in the here and now, right? Be here now. As long as you draw breath, try to do something good with your life, right? Keep the commandments, keep the covenant of the Torah. There is no view on life outside our world in the Jewish faith. There are different teachings. Now, if you mean, let's say, angels or demons, divine messengers and entities, that's one thing. If you mean extraterrestrial aliens who live on other planets and faraway solar systems or in the multiverse of multiverses that exists, is there life? I don't think that the Jewish faith as such has anything to say about it. I know that if you read the Torah, right, you could extrapolate and have your own theories on the nature of creation, which includes this little world that we live in, and includes the multiverse of multiverses that we are a part of. Let's continue. Do you believe that the Neturei Karta view on Israel has any merit? Any merit? A little bit. A little bit, yeah. Not a lot at all. 5%, right? Something really, really tiny and nigh insignificant, because I definitely do agree that while Israel has its faults, and it is currently the product of, let's say, secular aliyah, and not religious aliyah, right? Ascending to Israel, secular, right? And again, the modern-day Zionism, which wasn't religious, it was secular, born out of the Enlightenment, out of the emancipation. But we are walking towards that place of keeping the Torah, keeping the commandments, and coming together spiritually. We are taking our sweet time building the foundation. It's a lot of war and bloodshed and horrible things involved, but I believe when we have peace here, and the blessings will flow much better, and I think that's where we are headed, one way or another, towards peace. It's incredibly naive of me to say, but I'm a naive individual then. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Hey, Dorito Chip is here. Hey, Dorito Chip. I think the people of everywhere tend to be good. It's the wealthy that ruin it. Really? Simply by virtue of being wealthy, you ruin it for others? That's kind of a communist way of thinking about things, but okay. The people that do bad, that are poor, are struggling. If they were not struggling, there would be less crime. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. What does wealth have to do with that? Now, if you steal from people, that's one thing. If you make your own paper, you become as wealthy as you want. You know, it's good if you give back, of course. But, I mean, if you're not stealing from people and if you're not mistreating people in order to gain, then what's wrong with wealth? I don't see anything inherently wrong with wealth. There is that idea of you becoming a pompous and proud douche, but that's still not a crime. It's not a crime to be a pompous, proud douche. And merely having wealth does not ruin it for other people. It just means that you are wealthy. Wealth comes and wealth goes. I mean, right? Sometimes old money stays around forever, but generally speaking, money comes and goes, and that 1% fluctuates. People exit it and people enter it all the time. Hey, no matter Peter is here, I trust you're well, he says. Yes, indeed. B Botanical says the Torah only talks about this world and you don't believe in hell. The world is right about you. You are very dangerous. Yes, it talks about this world practically, physically speaking, but there's an esoteric element to the Torah that speaks about all of creation, which is not just the physical world. But we are meant to not calculate the end of days. We are not supposed to be trying to calculate when Messiah will show up, when a king will be crowned, when we will arrive at Eden, when everything will be done. No, we are supposed to live humbly and righteously in the world as we know it and do what we can, right? And use the tools that are available when they are available. As for not believing in hell, it's not a question of belief. There's just, it's a waiting room. It's more akin to purgatory than some eternal damnation. No, that does not exist in the Hebrew faith. So you are very dangerous. Let's break this down for a second. What is dangerous about not believing in eternal damnation? And what is dangerous about the Torah, which is a living, breathing, walking, talking Torah for people to keep physical and practical commandments as well. It's not only that. Why should it not deal with this world? This world was, the Torah was written by people for people. Divinely given, divinely inspired, Moses on the mountain, however you want to see it. But he wrote it down in a scroll for people to keep. People who go to the bathroom like you and I go. People who eat like you and I go. Or eat. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like parts of the Torah are indeed very ancient. Parts of the Torah, as it says, Istakel ba'oraita ubara alma. God looked at the Torah and created the world. So there's something about the Torah that is a blueprint of all creation. And then it depends on the lens through which you view the Torah. Are you looking at it just practical commandments that you're supposed to be keeping? Or are you looking at it esoterically, which is the commandments that you're keeping, how they reveal the divine revelation in the world, and what is your role in bringing together the masculine and feminine presence, bringing together, right, unifying them and bringing new light into creation. All of that spectrum from the plain surface level physical commandments all the way to the esoteric and deep and profound nature of creation, all of it exists in the Torah. So it's not that the Torah only speaks of this world. It's that the Torah is a book of doing, right? There's poetry there, and there's myth there, and there's legend there, and there's lore there, and there are physical commandments, and there are mental commandments like thou shalt not covet, which is a mental thing. So, right, the mind, the body, the soul, it all comes together there. So parts of the Torah are indeed definitely about this world. Let's say giving charity. There's no money or possessions or wealth in other realms and other worlds, right? Spiritually speaking, that exists here. We live in a world of good and evil. We are supposed to keep away from evil and pursue the good, right? To leave the wickedness and pursue righteousness. That only exists here where we have free will. That only exists here where we have choice, where we are a soul in a body, so to speak. Only here. Angels don't have a choice. Demons don't have a choice. The dead don't have a choice. Those who haven't been born yet don't have a choice. We here, who draw breath right now, you and I, we have choices to make. We have the ability, we have the capacity to better ourselves and the world around us. We are the only ones who can do that. And in that sense, the Torah says, indeed, do something about it then. Choose life. So in that sense, yes, it speaks of this world. And no, there is no hell. There's something akin to purgatory, Gehinnom, but that's not hell. So why is it dangerous, I ask you? Why is it dangerous? Because it's not that we ignore the idea of punishment or damnation. It's not that we ignore other realms, other universes, if you will, right, of the spiritual. We do not ignore that. The Torah does not ignore that either. But it's a Torah for this world, where people who live in this world to carry it out. To carry it out, right? Shabbos. Let's continue. Praying you choose life in Christ, indeed he is the life. Well, I don't plan on doing that, Samuel, but I appreciate the sentiment. In Indonesia, says Dama, there are many UFO sightings and tragedies. Does the whole world experience this? Well, tragedy exists all over the world. Unidentified flying objects exist all over the world. Are they alien and extraterrestrial in origin, or are they government experiments and secret agencies and intelligence groups doing their thing? I'd say that's more likely than the former. But UFOs as such, not necessarily extraterrestrials, simply unidentified flying objects and tragedy, yes, it happens all over the world. That is part of the nature of this life. It's tragic. Life is suffering, but you can transcend the suffering. All right. God bless you, says good God. And you. I appreciate it. Hi, I really like the way you talk and your sense of humor, says AAN. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Let the rabbits wear glasses, says Dustin. The rabbits wear glasses? You live in Israel? Yes, Mineral. I'm in Jerusalem as we speak. Right now. Ana min Urushalim. Ana min el-Uds. I am from Jerusalem. Ani mi Yerushalayim. That is where I am. Do you believe in any conspiracy theories? No, I don't, but only because I don't ever really delve into it. I believe that some conspiracy theories are indeed true, but there are so many theories from what I've gathered that to try and make some sort of sense of them and discern would be an impossibility. All I know is that I wouldn't put it past the different security and intelligence agencies to do things, right? Intelligence and counterintelligence, and it's like I'm just one little man. I don't know what goes on. I really, really don't. So I do believe in conspiracy theories. I believe that a certain percentage of them are not theories, but actually will be, they will retroactively be proven to be correct. I'm sure that let's say when the CIA was carrying out MK Ultra, people maybe at the time were saying, "Oh, the government is experimenting on people," and people were like, "It's conspiracy theory." No, of course. Why would the government do that? Of course it did. So certain things we know retroactively that indeed conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. But if I started to go into different conspiracy theories, and if I started to try and discern and see what's what and try to tell the lie from the truth, it is so complex and convoluted I wouldn't even know where to begin. So I don't. Mahdi is coming and Jesus is coming to Palestine. Free Palestine, says Amir. Okay. All right then, go with that. How long have you lived in Israel? All my life, spilled ink. All my life. I mean, I was a few years outside in the Netherlands for a few years, about a decade ago, but any time before that and any time after that, I've been in Israel. Yep. Ay. Okay. If the Messiah isn't God, why does the Tanakh call him God? Was Isaiah lying? No, it says Mashiach Adonai, the anointed one of God, not the anointed God. Also, Elohim is used for judges. Elohim is used to sort of, it's a title of venerable people, but Elohim as plurality of Eloha, when it refers to the Most High God, that is a specific name with a specific meaning, a specific divine attribute which is associated with it. So Messiah is not God, and Messiah was never God, not the anointed king of Israel, nor Cyrus the Great of Persia, nor any of the priests who were anointed, nor any of the prophets who were anointed. So no Mashiach, no Messiah, no anointed one was ever God. That does not exist in the Torah, it does not exist in the prophets, it does not exist in the writings or the scrolls. Nowhere in Hebrew lore will you find that a human being becomes God, or God is revealed to the Israelites in human, right, in flesh, like in human form, in flesh, incarnate. Never. Once again, I'm not going to gatekeep. If you people out there want to believe that God arrives in human form and that Jesus is God and all that, by all means continue believing it. All I'm saying is that that goes against the Torah. The Torah strictly prohibits it. A creation cannot become the creator, and that's that. That's it. They're remaking Spaceballs? You can't be serious. No, Egon, they're not remaking it. It's Spaceballs 2, the new one. 43% didn't even see the first one. 30% of you, 354 votes in. Finally, Mel Brooks for the win. Almost a third of you Mel Brooks fans. Right on. What is your favorite Mel Brooks movie? I know we spoke of it in the beginning, but I want to say now different people have showed up. Is it possible and safe to visit Israel as a tourist? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. You get a tourist visa and it's all good. Is it safe? Yes, it is. So who is the judge, says rising to shine? Judge is an attribute that is associated with the word Elohim. There are actual human judges, and there's a divine attribute called din, or judgment, that the name Elohim corresponds to. So who is the judge? There is a revelation of judgment that we call Elohim. There is a revelation of judgment that the human judges and magistrates, they sort of embody it on a smaller scale. But that's not God. That is an attribute that we call judgment. That is a name that corresponds to that attribute. So a name and an attribute such as judgment does still not constitute the nature of the divine. Do you see what I'm saying? As I always say, if I can give it a name, if I can conceptualize it, if I can perceive it, speak of it, feel it, think of it, if I can somehow have any dealing with it, mentally, physically, whatever, it's immediately already not God. God is inconceivable, untouchable, unknowable, unthinkable, immaterial. And what we deal with here are the divine emanations, the divine revelations, the garments in which the divine clothes him, her, itself to reveal itself to the world. Okay. We have something we agree on, and what we agree on is Christianity does not have legitimacy. No, Josh, I never said Christianity has no legitimacy. For Christians, there's tons of legitimacy. I believe that the followers of Jesus at the time, who were Jews, he was like, okay, go tell the nations. It's like, okay, let's go do that. But I read the letter to the Hebrews twice. It didn't speak to me at all as a Hebrew man. I don't see why it would speak to anybody who is considered a Hebrew man or woman. But, you know, it did speak to a lot of people. People all over the world are Christians, billions. It is billions, right? A couple of billion at least. So I don't say that Christianity has no legitimacy whatsoever. I'm saying if you're a Hebrew man or woman, you don't believe in a God incarnate. If you're a Hebrew man or woman who believes in a God in flesh, that is idolatry. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't mean that it's wrong for other people to believe that God can be revealed in flesh. It doesn't mean that they cannot worship such a God. It means that if you follow Torah, if you're a Hebrew man or woman, you don't do it because the Torah prohibits it. That's it. Who can take away sin? The individual with their doings and by the grace of the Most High God. That is how sin is taken away. You stay away from evil and you do good. You stay away from wickedness and you pursue righteousness and peace and justice. That's how you take away sin. More than that, it's not even taking away sin. It's that your sins, if you live a life that is humble and righteous and good enough, your sins won't be taken away. They will be added to your collection of merits. That is real tshuva. That is returning from love in the Hebrew faith, where the transgressions that you intentionally did become shining, brilliant merits. It's not even that it cancels out. It's that it becomes a force for the good. How about we just follow God and not join any of the groups as elevator of faith? I'm on board with that. Now, I am a Hebrew man. I do want to keep the Hebrew Torah. But if you say follow God and not join any groups, I agree. If that's what you want to do, by all means do it. There is a connection, an inherent and natural connection between creation and creator, that no man-made religion, no organized religion, and no holy text can ever touch. The spontaneous and intimate connection that you as a creation have with your creator. That is something that nobody ever can truly fathom. Nobody can ever truly know the depths of the connection between creation and creator. And I urge you, if that's what you're saying, look, organized religion and different groups have a lot of merit. I've said it before. It's a path. It's a way. It's a burden that you carry, and it helps you to transcend your own little life, whether it's because you're part of a community or whether it's because it forces you to think outside the box or think outside of yourself and consider others. There's a lot of merit to it despite all of the shortcomings of organized religion. But if that's what you're called to do, to follow God plainly, naturally, right, Edenically, In Eden, there were no groups. In Eden, there were no religions. In Eden, there were no other deities and there were no factions. Fear the Night says, hey, Fear the Night, good to see you again, man. Why is tension between Islamic and Jewish faith? So I'm thinking that, again, the tension was always there because Islam claims that it's the final revelation, that Muhammad is the final prophet, that the Quran is the final book, and we should all submit to the will of Allah. That is what Islam means, submission. And so if you have the final word and the final prophet, and you want to bring peace to the world, and you want to say submit to the Most High God, and people are not doing it, that causes tension. It's that idea of that you want goodness and peace and righteousness to rule the world, but there are people who are going against you, and there are people who are not adhering to these laws, and there are people who do not wish to be Muslim, obviously. The tension specifically between Muslims and Jews, I believe that might go back to the tension between Isaac and Ishmael, and the fact that we both come from one father, and the tension there between Hagar and Sarah, the conflict, right? Abraham's conflict when he had to kick out Hagar and Ishmael. Now, Ishmael received a blessing. Ishmael is blessed. His descendants are blessed. They also received a blessing, like the tension between Esau and Jacob as well. It's part of the deal. There are, right, we have Ishmael on the left, and we have, we have Ishmael on the left, and we have Edom on the right, Esau on the right, and we have Israel in the center. The tension, it's not just about this land. It's a religious and ideological tension that existed way before 1948, and way before the Aliyahs of the early 20th and late 19th century, and way before the first Congress in Basel, the first Zionist Congress. The tension there, I think it's an ideological, religious, spiritual tension. And there is a teaching that says that in the days to come, it might come to pass that the kingdoms of Arabia and Ishmael, let's say, the kingdoms of Ishmael will wage war against the kingdom of Israel, or right, the Israelites. I hope that that war does not come to pass. I hope that we will be able to make peace, that we will be able to live, oh my God, a positive and prosperous and abundant and rich life here. That's what I would like more than anything. More than anything. Your views do not agree with the nation you live in, says Paul. Really? I think I've lived here a long time, and while I haven't spoken to every single Israeli, I think we are generally of that view. Which view do you think does not agree with the nation that I live in? I'm curious. I might be wrong. This Jew is spreading half-truths and lies. There is no truth in him. Really, Joe, what is the half-truth that I have been spreading? What are the lies that I have been spreading? I would love it if you told me. If I don't get to you in the chat, leave a comment. I would love to go point by point if you wish. And if you are actually able to tell me you did it here, you did it here, you did it here, and here's why, I will concede. And I will say, oh, you're right. That's a half-truth. Oh, you're right. That's a lie. I didn't know. Thank you for educating me and opening up my eyes. People, I am here to learn from you as well. I am here to be educated. I'm not here to teach or preach. I'm here to have conversations with people. So if you think that I'm telling half-truths and lies, show me. And if I don't get to it in the chat, leave a comment. I address every single comment that is addressed to me. Can King David save you? No, Andrea, King David is dead. The legacy lives, but King David is dead, so he cannot save anybody, really. King David was a righteous king. He had his moments of, not being righteous, but altogether, he showed us the power of tshuva. He showed us the power of music. He showed us what a real king on the throne can do, and what not to do. So the King David can appear, let's say, in human form to some people. If they merit it and maybe learn some Torah with them and whatnot, he is still a shepherd. But he's not here to save anybody. You save yourself, right? By the grace of God and by your own doing, by your own merit, and perhaps your ancestors as well. But can King David save you? No, that's not the way this works. The Torah says, you're here, do it yourself. Be righteous. Do good in the world. Be a good person. That is how you save yourself and everybody around you. Have you smoked weed before because you look a bit like a Rasta? Yes, I have smoked weed in the past, Mike Story. I don't partake anymore, but I am a fan of marijuana, even though I don't smoke it anymore. All in measure, education, harm reduction, set and setting are paramount. All of those. Respect the herb. Honor the plant. Honor any substance that's mind-altering that you put inside your body. I mean eternal salvation? No, eternal salvation. First of all, what does it mean, eternal? What does it mean? And what does salvation mean to you? These are very heavy concepts, and I don't know how you mean them. Everything that exists here in this world will come to an end. Everything that lives dies. When we have that duality of life and death, everything that lives dies. But when we partake of the fruit of the tree of life, it will not be life as opposed to death. It will be life that is outside of death. Death will be taken away and out of creation, just like it was brought in Eden into creation in the story of Genesis. Okay. What's your opinion on the conflict with Israel and Palestine? Says Aunt Vitelli that we need peace. That's my view on the conflict, that it's gone on far enough and we need peace. That's what we, that's it. That's the best thing that we can do. The best thing that we can do is have peace. What do Judaism view on the afterlife? Foxy says. Well, the afterlife is after we partake of the fruit of the tree of life. It's not what happens after you die. That is not afterlife. That is after death. Afterlife is when we partake of the fruit of the tree of life, which was put under guard, but never forbidden. You will never in the Torah find God forbidding partaking of the fruit of the tree of life. Okay. Even in Islam, Gila. Hey, Gila. Did I say hello to you already? Was that? Okay. Either way, hello, Gila. In Islam, they believe the same, that a war will come with the children of Isaac, and they will go into hiding, and it will happen on the end times. But how do Jews believe it will be? Well, the Jews believe that war does not need to come to pass. No matter how many prophecies or teachings or I don't know what, we don't need war. War is not a necessity. Peace is a necessity. We need it like oxygen. Peace and love and justice and righteousness. These are necessities. War and bloodshed is not a necessity. Going into hiding is not a necessity. Certainly not between brothers or cousins. So what might happen is that there will be a war. Does it have to happen? No. We can spread love. We can spread understanding. We can bridge gaps. We can find common ground. We can make it happen. It's very frustrating. Not that I'm saying I have the answers. All I'm saying is that just because there are these different teachings or prophecies that are of woe and destruction and war does not mean they need to come to pass, not even a little bit. And it's all down to us, right? You and I. It's up to us. Okay. The actions of your government speak louder than your words, of course, because I'm not the government. My actions speak louder than my words. They don't speak louder than the government. Of course, the actions of my government speak louder than my words because I'm one person and the government is hundreds and thousands of people in a system. Listen, man, Paul, not to be rude, but that truly is, if I'm understanding you just at face value, right? What you're saying is that because thousands of people in the government are acting in one way, my view has absolutely no bearing whatsoever. But see, I say bullshit because I am a sovereign individual, and what I say and what I do matters to me and to those around me. I'm not the government. If I was the government, that would be a different story. But the actions of your government speak louder than your words means absolutely dick. That literally means absolutely nothing. How are you conflating government and an individual? How? Especially since I don't vote. But maybe I misunderstood. If I did not misunderstand, and you're saying that the government, because it's doing certain things, then my words are, let's say, meaningless, if that's how you meant it, all right. I don't see the logic there at all, but okay. Will you ever change your thoughts on Jesus being the Messiah? What do you mean my thoughts? My thoughts are that he was a potential Messiah. He could have been the King of the Jews. He could have been an anointed one, and then he died. That's it. That's when his reign ended. And even if he was resurrected and ascended, he's still not God, nor is he still a living king. So, those are my thoughts. He was a king, perhaps. He was an anointed one, perhaps. A potential one, definitely. And that's it. And then he died. So his reign ended. I don't mind if he was Mashiach or not. It doesn't matter to me. There have been many, many kings, and all of them are dead. How do I become Jewish, says Bolivia, if I'm brown, Native American brown? Well, being from America has nothing to do with anything. Being brown-skinned has nothing to do with anything. How you become Jewish? Well, first of all, it depends on the type of Judaism you would like to practice. So you do the research. That's how you start. Do the research. But conversion, that's how you become a Jew. If you're not Jewish by birth, convert if you're interested. Kellogg says Talmud or Torah. Well, Talmud is where rabbinic law is derived from. It is the oral traditions in part. Torah, you mean written Torah. So what do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. They both came down kind of together. The Talmud was never meant to be written down, but it was due to necessity and exile. Can Muslims and Christians convert to Judaism, Dreadlight Tune says. According to Judaism, they can. According to Islam or Christianity, you'll have to ask them if they are allowed to convert to another faith. As for Talmud or Torah, if I'm pushed into a corner, I would say Torah before Talmud. But I believe that they both coincide. I believe that the oral teachings, the oral traditions, they interpret and extrapolate, and they give more meaning and practical implementation and laws and regulations and rules that have to do with the laws and regulations and rules that appear in the Torah, in the written Torah, and that you need an oral tradition to correspond to the written Torah. The thing is that the oral traditions had to be written down, and that caused the whole thing, and we are now living in halachic survival mode, as I've mentioned many times in the past, for about 2,000 years, and it's very frustrating, and it's very a little bit angering that this is the case, but that's the way that it is. It's also why I no longer consider myself religious, and it's also why I no longer keep strict halacha, right? I don't keep strict rabbinic law. 177 views, 62 likes. Oh, viewers, yeah. Hey, oh, so very ordinary is here. Thanks, man, I appreciate it. And while he's saying that, I've been on for about just over 90 minutes. I want to give a thank you. I'm still going to keep going, but I want to give a quick thank you, or not so quick. You people out there. You right there. Yeah, you. You're awesome. Thank you. The likes and the subs and the views and the hate and the love and the encouragement and the vitriol, the spammers and the trolls. I love it. I love it. I love it. The algorithm, YouTube's algorithm, has been so gracious and so kind to me these last few months. And you people are making it happen. You people who are here engaging, you people who are here participating, you people who are here donating your money to charity. Every single shekel arrives and goes to charity. 100% of what you give goes to charity. Check out my recent posts on that. I am highly transparent about it, and I would love to continue to do so. So if you want to choose to give by, watching ads, do it that way. If you want to choose by with the super thanks or the super chat or the other whatever it is, do it that way. If you simply want to give a like or give a sub or stay in view and help the algorithm do its thing so people who are interested in having these discussions can find the channel, by all means do that. It's like, I loved this channel back when it was just me talking to the camera with nobody watching. I love it now when it's hundreds and thousands of people every live stream. It is so rich and it is so abundant and it is so nourishing, sustaining, strengthening, and encouraging to see this channel grow because of your contributions, monetary and temporal contributions. The people who become, regular viewers, the people who are just casual viewers, people who arrive here and who, swipe up and go, blah! Whatever it is that you do is appreciated. Ooh, speaking of which, a super chat, Rob, hey, thank you for the super sticker. So yeah, whenever the next payment comes in, I'm going to do a poll on where you think it should go to. I do take, I won't necessarily go with the most likes or whatever because I want to donate locally. But I will definitely take your words into account. I'm glad I'm helping out. It's my service to help others like yourself, says Rising to Shine. Indeed. Do you think that? I wonder. Why is it, first of all, if you think of yourself as giving service, that is a very blessed thing. I'm curious, Rising to Shine, what is it that you think is your service? When you say help others like yourself, what do you mean by that? I'm very curious. Hey, Foxy Scale gave $10. Hey, Zakif. Todalia. So many thanks to you good people. I'm helping you with food, shelter, and education you. I'm here to serve the needy. I'm not sure what you mean, rising to shine. But okay. This was a good class, says God's King Snow or Snow. Well, I'm not a teacher. It's not a class. We're just having a dialogue. This is all this is. It's just discourse. It's conversations. It's I say some crap and you say some crap and we have, right? And we try to find common ground and we try to maybe have a little laugh. We try to talk about Spaceballs. And speaking of which, let's see. 432 votes in. 43% of you haven't seen it. 30%. No, it's kind of pretty much the way that it was about 100 votes ago. It didn't really shift that much. Spaceballs, the new one. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. The Canaanites were an indigenous Semitic-speaking people who inhabited the southern Levant, modern-day Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria. Yes, that is correct. And then Joshua and the Israelite army vanquished them in a war that lasted 13, 14 years. Right, the 7 nations that were here: Knaani, Yevusi, Amori, Girgashi, Haprizi, Hachiti, Hachivi. 7 of them. 8? 7? No, Girgashi ran away. Anyway, the 7 nations that were here. The 7 nations that were here, we were supposed to kill them. And Joshua and the Israelite army did that. Almost everybody. In Talmud, says Marcel, it's allowed to enslave people. Is that cool with you? That's not Talmud. That's in the Torah. You're allowed to enslave people. You're supposed to set them free if they're Hebrews. With foreign slaves, according to Torah, you're allowed to keep them. However, the Torah sees slavery as a thing that is not a desired thing. Meaning, if you're gonna do it, here's how you do it. I liken it very much to divorce. There are laws in the Torah on how you are supposed to get divorced. Does that mean that the Torah condones divorce just willy-nilly? Just marry in order to divorce and fulfill the commandment of divorce? No. It means if you're gonna get divorced, there's a way to do it. It doesn't mean that the Torah recommends you get divorced. In the very same way, there are laws and rules on slavery, on male slaves, female slaves, right, handmaids, Hebrews and foreigners, and there are different laws to each of them, right? Hebrew male, Hebrew female, and Hebrew man, Hebrew woman, Hebrew slave, Hebrew handmaid, and foreign slave, foreign handmaid. Laws for each and every one of them. Does that mean that the Torah says you must have slaves? No. It means if you're gonna have slaves, here's how it's done. So you're mistaken. The Talmud doesn't say it's allowed. The Talmud is where rabbinic law is derived from. The Talmud is where the debate, the discussions, the conversations about the nature of the slavery laws as they appear in the Torah, the written Torah, that is where they are discussed in the Mishnah and in the Talmud. So it's cool with me in the sense of I don't condone slavery. I think it's a horrible thing. Humankind was made in the image of God. We are meant to be free. And I, as a vegan, also want animals to be free, you know? So I'm not a militant vegan, but I do think that in some ways it's like an earthling thing, right? Not just a human thing, not just an Israeli or Jewish or Hebrew thing. It's an earthling thing to be free. Now you could ask, to be free of everything or to be free to follow a certain path, however it may be. Freedom counts for a lot. And is it cool with me? It's cool with me that there are laws, because then it's not you do whatever you want and do whatever you want to your slaves and everything's cool. No, the Torah says you need to release them under certain conditions. The Torah says that you need to treat them right. The Torah says let them rest on the Sabbath, like you. You see what I'm saying? The Torah does not condone slavery and says, hey, it's awesome to have slaves. The Torah says we live in a world where people have slaves. If you as a Hebrew man or woman are going to own slaves, here's how it's done. Just like the divorce thing. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Cool, I was vegan for a year. Really, Arkits, what happened? I mean, was it a challenge of being vegan for a year? Was it a health thing? Your diet wasn't working out for you health-wise? Ty says, what's the most paranormal story you've ever heard about or has happened to you? No, I don't want to share that right now. Nothing that, not things that happened to me. The most paranormal story I've ever heard. I'd have to rack my brain. I don't know. Tell you what, Ty 2, if you can, leave me a comment so I'll get to your question another time when I'm able to think about it. Moral of the story, 888 says, read and follow the Torah only. The Talmud is just humans having a debate. No, it's not just debates. There's also myth and lore and legend and other teachings and tidbits there which are not part of where rabbinic law, halacha, is derived, and yet they decided still to canonize those things in the Talmud. The Talmud is not just a physical thing. There is an esoteric, metaphysical, let's say, element to the Talmud as such, because it's part of the oral teachings. So, I do understand the Karaites who only go with the 5 books of Moses. I do understand the conservatives and the Reformed Jews who say, no, 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 the Talmud and halacha, rabbinic law, should not be binding in the way that rabbinic Judaism says that it is binding. I understand where they're coming from. That's also in part why I no longer keep strict halacha. I saw certain things that did not align with my views and my values as they were coming, as I was coming into my mid-20s and before I took my vow. It's not the Talmud is just humans having a debate. No, there is merit to that debate. There is merit to that difference of opinion. There is merit, right, to that machloket, that ongoing discourse. Great merit. However, oral law was supposed to remain oral. It was supposed to progress. It was supposed to evolve. It was supposed to continue on becoming part of our life as we live life in reality and throughout the generations, and sort of be a companion to the written Torah that keeps evolving, unlike the written Torah which stays static. See what I'm saying? Something is in motion, dynamic. Something is written, static. The problem happened, and continues to happen, when the oral law had to be written down. The Mishnah had to be written down. The Talmud had to be written down, because they thought that it will all be forgotten in the diaspora, in the exile that we were heading out into. So they had to choose the lesser of two evils and write down that which should not have been written down to begin with. Either that or have it all forgotten. And so Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi and the others, right, Abaye Rava, right, who wrote the Talmud, it escapes me right now. They said, okay, we got to do this. And so now, for many years, Rabbinic Judaism is what kept the Torah alive in the people of Israel. Rabbinic Judaism is what kept the people of Israel being religious, let's say, having that connection with the Most High God as a congregation, as a people, as a nation. Like I said, that doesn't hold a candle to your unique personal connection between you and your Creator. But as a people, and a people of Torah, and a people of, let's say, community and ritual worship, if you will, Rabbinic Judaism is what kept us alive spiritually and physically to some degree. But now that the exile is over, and now that we are back in the land, and now that hopefully there will be peace and love all over the world, now we will be able to break out of the chains of the 4 cubits of halacha. But time will tell. Time will tell. I don't know how it will happen. Let's see. Ray says, I say this because original Jews and Philistines were closely related and only separated by belief and ideology. They are cousins. Well, I don't think so. I think the Philistines came from Pleshet. Pleshet came from the Greek Isles to the northwest, while the Jews, the kingdom of Judah, the people of Judea, were here in the Levant, not in Greece. They're cousins? What are you basing that on? Pleshet. I'm trying to remember the genealogy of Pleshet. I don't have it off the top of my head. There is only one race, human beings, says Glenn. I agree. There is only one race, human beings. We are all made in the image of God. And despite all of the borders, and despite all of the fences, and despite all the religions and ideologies and in-group, out-group thinking and tribalism that separates us, we will be able to transcend our differences. We will be able to transcend our shortcomings and all the pitfalls that cause us to hate each other and fight with each other and bicker with each other. We will all be able to transcend that. We will be able to transcend all of that. So yeah, in Eden, it was just human beings, not Israel and Jews, not Torah or Quran, just human beings. That's part of what I love about Eden. We all come from Adam and Eve, says Jesse. We are all the same. Yes, we are the same. I agree. We definitely are the same. Longest you have fasted. The longest I have fasted, a day and a half, probably. But look, there are fasts where you don't eat and you don't drink and you don't bathe, you don't have sex and you don't wear leather like Yom Kippur or the 9th of Av. There are fasts that's 25 hours each. There are fasts that are from sunrise to sundown, right? They can be 13, 14 hours depending on where it is and what the season is. And there are fasts where it's not food or drink. There are fasts from speech, where you only speak Torah and you only speak prayers. You don't speak anything else, So there are different types of fasts. Also, you can have a fast, but if you mean food and drink and things like that nature, 30-something hours, I think that's the most I've fasted. Okay. Don't ignore my comment, says Whitman. I don't ignore comments, Whitman. It's just that sometimes the chat moves kind of fast and I can't see everything that goes on there. If I do miss your comment in the chat, leave a comment on one of the videos, because there I do see YouTube notifies me, unlike this, which is always in motion. So please, I'm not ignoring your chat. I'm not intentionally not answering anybody. Really. I would like to hear what you have to say about my reasoning. Whitman, you are writing this under the assumption that I read everything that you've said in the chat, and I've made the conscious decision to ignore it. Well, I'm sorry. This is the first time that I'm laying eyes on your username, Whitman1819. I have not seen anything you've written. I don't know if you've been here for an hour and 45 minutes, or for 5 minutes, or for 30 minutes, and I haven't read anything that you have posted here in the chat. This is not to be rude. It's just me being honest. Now, I got here, and you did that, and I have no idea what your reasoning is. I don't know what you are trying to reason with, and I haven't seen any of your comments so far. This is the first chat that I'm reading of yours in this live stream. So mea culpa. Please forgive me, but you'll have to either leave a comment or try to hit me up in the chat still. Whitman says, Christians are not saying a man became God. We're saying God took on human nature without stopping being God. So the question is not whether worshiping a man is idolatry. We agree it would be. The question is whether the one God of Israel is able to reveal himself in human form if he chooses, not to Israel. That's what I'm saying. God, I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. God can do anything, right? And nothing. So, is it possible? Yes. Is there anything like that in the Hebrew Bible? No. Is there a prohibition and a very, 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 very serious injunction against worshiping creation, whether it's in the sky, on the land, or in the sea? Yes. And because of that, there is no revelation in flesh. There is no revelation, not to the people of Israel, there isn't. That's what I'm saying. What's your name, Achi? I'm Yonatan Wyatt Schaefer. Yonatan. That's my name. What's with the ears? They're just bunny ears. I like them. Cheeseburger, good to see you again, if that is indeed the same cheeseburger. In world history, Jews were often hated and hunted and their nations destroyed. Would you say that is not reasonable? Or what would say is the cause for that? So this comes up a lot. Of course, it's reasonable to say that because that's something that has happened again and again and again. As for the cause, Jews were always seen as the outsiders. People always found reasons to hate Jews. We either are too religious or not religious enough. We're too rich or we're too poor. We integrate too far. We don't integrate enough. We go against the leadership. We are too high up in the halls of leadership. So people will find reasons to hate Jews no matter what we do, at any time, at any moment, at any given place. It's like, that's just part of the thing. People hate Jews. That's it. Now, not everybody 100% of the world hates Jews. Many people do not care about Jews, and that's fine. But basically, like you say, world history, Jews were often hated and hunted. This is correct, for a variety of reasons. And if there was no reason, they'd make one up. All the different blood libels and so on. So as for... oh, I'm sorry. No? Okay. Joshua Randstill Chavers. Okay. Do you like chocolate milk? I'm vegan 62847, so I don't drink chocolate milk. I haven't had chocolate milk, proper chocolate milk, in about 16 years, but I did like it. Now, I do like some vegan cocoa, but it's not the same as like a thick chocolate milk. So yes, I do like chocolate milk, but I do not partake of it anymore. Thank you for your answer, Cheeseburger says. Indeed, indeed. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for the question. Take accountability, says Kilukai SD. To what? I will gladly take accountability or responsibility, but what for? I've been vegan since 2012. Oh, okay, so soothing. We're almost the same time. Almost the same amount of time. That's pretty cool. Ray says, I base it off the fact that they were all Canaanites. No, again, Pleshet were invaders from the northwest, from the Greek Isles. They were not indigenous to Canaan. The Plishtim, the Philistines, came from Pleshet, not from Canaan. That's what I'm saying. They are invaders. The Jews believe in one God. The Philistines were more pagan, or people that believed in many gods. The Philistines come from Gaza. No, you are mistaken. They may have settled there, but the Philistines, the Plishtim, come from Pleshet. Most academics and researchers agree that Pleshet was not here. They were maritime people from the Greek Isles. Look it up. Now, it doesn't mean that that is 100% correct. It means that from what I've read, that is the consensus among the researchers, scholars, and academics who study these things and who know a lot more than I do. Also, if the Plishtim were indigenous, then they would have been one of the seven peoples, nations that Joshua was commanded to kill. The Plishtim are not mentioned in that list of 7 nations that we needed to eradicate and genocide. So, because of those reasons, the Plishtim were there to keep Israel on its toes, to keep the tribes on their toes, to elevate them, to test them, to see how they will fare. They were there to be a thorn in the side of the Israelites in order to, if they got too cocky, if the people of Israel got too fat and lazy, the Plishtim were there to say, come on, do your thing, come on. And that's also a timeless thing that goes on all the time. Do Judaism have any mysticism, says Foxy Scales? Well, people consider the Kabbalah to be the esoteric and mystical side of Judaism. Hey, Foxy, thanks again. Oh, you contributed even more. Thank you. It all goes to charity, good people. If you want to give. Kabbalah, Torah HaNistar is Jewish mysticism. Yes, Torah HaNistar, Chochmat HaNistar. Kabbalah means to receive. That's what that means. Why would God want any one of his creation to be eradicated? Or maybe your God is evil, Mr. Nimbus says. So God doesn't want anything. That is, wanting means lacking, right? God has no lacking. And that's something that he lacks, lacking. The point is that there is a revelation of God that can be considered evil. The way that I've read the analogy in Padeh Simunim, and I've likened it very much because I love the analogy, right? When you have, let's say this cup of tea, okay? This cup of tea is water and tea leaves and verbena, right? And green tea leaves and some herbs. All of it edible, all of it medicinal, all of it very good. Of this mug I drink and take into my body from the high place to the low place. What is it that happens in the lower place? Things are broken apart. The nourishing part goes to give my body sustenance and energy. The part that is expelled goes out in my urine. Now you can ask, because some of this tea becomes urine, does that mean that I am drinking urine? No. It means I am drinking 100% tea. But down here in the lower place, where there is discernment, where there is digestion, and when there is hot and cold and things come together and are broken apart, this is where good and evil make their appearance, where the good goes to sustain the body and the evil or wicked or excess gets pushed out of the body. But that does not mean that I'm drinking urine. In the very same way, there is the potential of divine revelation that can be considered evil, because we live in a world of good and evil. Does that mean God is evil? No. You could liken the divine revelation to this cup of tea, and only down here in the lower place that we call this world of good and evil, this world of duality, only here do we see it as good and evil. At its root, it is one. At its root, it's not good and evil. At its root, there is no good or evil, because it's not a dichotomy, it's not a duality. Only here in this world do we have that. Only here in this world do you say, why would God want any one of his creation to be eradicated? So I say, the divine revelation as it rolled through creation, by the time it arrived in this place and at that time, right? It means that there was a divine revelation that told the people of Israel, in order to bring balance to the world and to the region, these people need to die. You take their place, you do your job, and there will be peace and prosperity for all. And the Torah specifies why it is that the Israelites were commanded to eradicate the 7 nations. You can read about it in the Torah if you want, on why the Israelites were commanded to destroy the 7 nations that were here. But God is not evil. There is a revelation of God that in this world appears to be evil, and yet you still wouldn't call God evil because of it, in the very same way that just because later on, after this tea is digested and broken up, part of it will become urine, that doesn't mean that you call the tea urine. It's not urine right now, it's potential urine. But right now it's nourishing and sustaining and heartwarming tea. 100% of it is tea. And so you may ask, how can 100% of something good be ripped apart and become, for all intents and purposes, 50-50, good and bad? It's because it moves. It moves from the higher place to the lower place, where there is digestion and where there are different interactions. And that's what causes it to break apart to its different constituents and decide what the body needs and what the body does not need. And depending on the state of the body, and depending on the person's genetics, and depending on the person's health and wellness, they would have more P or less P. They would have more things that the body sustains or less that the body sustains of nourishment, right? In the very same way here in this world, it's like the body. Depending on the state of the body, depending on the state of Israel, not the modern day state of Israel, the state of the Israelites, depending on the state of humanity. This is what really makes the difference between war and peace. It's not a question of God being good or evil. It's not a question of God wanting or desiring anything, because God has no wants or desires. These are just words that we use to convey a spiritual meaning, a spiritual idea. And so we use words like want, but there is no such thing. And we here are in this world of a lower world of digestion, a world of duality, of good and evil. But it's only here that we see that as good and evil. We must always remember the root has no good and evil. It's 100% tea. Okay. Let us continue. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll say goodbye. Let's see. 888 says, it's so funny how he changes subjects to move the attention to a subject of absolute no importance. No, I'm literally answering the question of good and evil. A person asked, why, right, is your God evil? And so I addressed the idea of good and evil and the divine revelation in this world. How is that no importance to that viewer who asked the question? 888, Stars of Zelda? Sorry, I'm calling bullshit on that. It is 100% horseshit, and you don't know what you're talking about. Must look at his pee while justifying it with God. You might think it's depravity in your face. I disagree entirely. I think it is very germane to the conversation. Just because you don't see it doesn't make it so. People, tell me in the chat. There are over 100 people here in the chat right now. Maybe you were listening all the way through, maybe not. Do you think that I addressed the question adequately? The person speaking about is God evil, and me talking about this idea of good and evil and the analogy of the tea. Did I address the question adequately? Yes or no? Or is 888 correct and I'm not doing any of that? I love that analogy, says Rachel T. Roca. Yeah, it's good. Yes, no, Yes. Okay. You don't see genocide. Sure. Hey, Never Under Pressure is here. I think so, and it was hilarious. There you go. Okay, good. It was hilarious. Lovely. The analogy of the pea. Yeah, see? People are agreeing with me, 888 Zelda. One person, I mean, 5 or 6 people, 5 of them said yes, 1 of them said no. People, by and large, agree with me. Hey, D. Griff is here. We've been having a back and forth in the comments today. This Nazarite is addressing things with good faith from his understanding. Exactly. I'm not claiming to have knowledge or truth or any kind of understanding that you don't. I'm one small, simple dumbass in the Middle East with a cup of tea. That's all this is. That's all it ever will be. That's it. And so I'm only speaking from my point of view. I don't represent the Torah. I don't represent Judaism. I don't represent Israel. I speak of these things. I do not represent them. I represent myself, and sometimes I do a piss-poor job at that, too. Dave F. says, I thought you were spot on and made it simple to understand. Well, there you go. Also, all credit goes to Rabbi Moshe Cordovero and Pardes Rimonim. I love that analogy so much. I genuinely cannot take you seriously with the ears on, Pig Bennis official. Good. That's part of what this is supposed to be. Right? Spirituality and silliness, but I don't take it to an extreme. Have you ever struggled keeping a healthy diet while vegan? No, I supplement B12. I take B12 twice a week. I take vitamin D. Sometimes I take vitamin D if I'm getting a bit lower. I take my blood. I test my blood regularly, at least once a year in the summer. So that's how I keep it. And if I start feeling, which I haven't felt for years, if ever I start feeling like I'm not myself, pardon me, I immediately go and have my blood drawn and tested to see if I'm deficient in something. If I don't feel anything, I do it once a year in the summer. We're not supposed to be able to explain the great mystery of life, says Taitu. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I agree. Some things remain a mystery. Some things might always remain a mystery. But it's like the Torah says, do your due diligence, acquire wisdom, not just to be called wise, but so you will be able to do some good in this world. Because when you are wiser, you are able to discern better. And when you're able to discern right from wrong and good from bad, you are able to be that much clearer about both of those and choose righteousness and choose the good. You did serve in the military though, right? Paul says, yes, I did. I was a field medic. That was my military designation. I served from age 20 until 22. I was in mandatory service, and then I was in the reserves until I was 37 or 38. So, yes. You literally started saying that as I was typing, Josh said. Hey, I'm not sure if you're talking to me or someone else. Is the Hebrew faith based on a vegetarian or vegan way of eating? No, big show. The Hebrew faith, well, look, I take it back to Eden, which is a vegan way of life and of eating. Veganism was from the onset, we were all vegan and all of creation was vegan. Only later on with the degradation and the descending of the generations were we allowed at the time of the flood, after the flood, to eat meat, and later on different things came into the fold. However, veganism remains the Edenic ideal, right, in the Hebrew faith. But right now, right, with the Jewish, let's say rabbinic, Orthodox religion, if you will, it's supported, but no, it doesn't necessarily state that vegetarianism or veganism is the way to go. I think it does state it implicitly, but not explicitly. So people many times go with the explicit, and to each their own. I think the Torah is very much in favor of veganism or vegetarianism, but I think that, no, the basis is, let's say, meat, right, and fish on Shabbos. Tons of people do that. I said I was going to vote this last election, but it seems it really makes no difference. Oh, man, see, it does. Oh, yeah, I don't know what will be. I will be voting. I will be voting in the upcoming election, even though I haven't voted in 20 years. 888 says, righteousness requires truth. You've lied at least 3 times since I arrived. Again, tell me what the lies are. Don't just say, you're a liar. Okay, I'm a liar. Show me how. Come on, you got to give me something to work with. Justifying your own made-up facts? You're feeding facts to the uneducated? People, let's make this very, very clear. I'm not trying to educate you. I'm not trying to change your mind, alter your views, change your opinions on things. I'm here to converse with you. I'm here to talk with you. I'm here to learn from you. Iron sharpens iron, right? I'm not a teacher or a master or a preacher or a rabbi or a sage or an academic or a researcher of any kind. So let's get that once again out of the way. 3 times I've lied. What? He won't say what. Do you see? He's saying you're a liar. And when I say, what have I lied about? God doesn't sleep, but neither will you. What? Do you even know what you're saying, 888 Stars of Zelda? Honestly, do you even know what you're saying? Okay. But yes, I'm definitely on board. Show me where I lied. And if you are correct, I will say, you know what? You're right. I lied here. This wasn't true. I misspoke here. I shouldn't have said that. I will actually be upfront and honest about it if you're able to show me where I lied. Show me. And I'm not making up facts. I'm speaking a view and an opinion. Nothing I'm saying is fact unless I state, and this is actually, as a matter of fact, factual. Then that would be me stating a fact. Otherwise, we're just having a conversation. God is real, Christianity is a scam, says Josh. Ocean says, what are your thoughts on the IDF soldier that broke the Jesus statue? I think that was the wrong thing to do. It's Lebanon. It was a Christian state. Now it's more Muslim, if I'm not mistaken, and with the Hezbollah Shiites there, definitely. But I think that why on earth would you break a statue of Jesus that is on a foreign, it's not even in Israel. It's in a foreign country. What? Now, look, I don't know. I don't follow the news. I don't know what the dude did. I just know that it happened. I don't know what the circumstances were. I don't know what happened. What was the aftermath? I really don't know anything. I know such a thing happened recently, but I don't know the details. But an IDF soldier breaking a statue of Jesus, I think that was in Lebanon, right? Why on earth would that person do that? My thoughts are that he should not have done it, and that is the wrong thing to do, maybe even borderline foolish thing to do, but I don't know what his motives were. I can't think of a reason why you would go and take down a statue of Jesus in a Christian country, or a formerly Christian country, whatever you want to say. Favorite book in the Old Testament, Ugo says, Genesis, Bereshit. Bereshit, Genesis is my favorite book. Nicholas says, how do you feel about the Hilltop Boys harassing Palestinian homes so that they can grind them down and the settlers can move in? Do you think that's okay? No, I think it's not okay. I think it's awful. I think that they are taking the law into their hands, which is not okay. Obviously, if they're provoked, they should react. If they are attacked, they should defend. But to go unprovoked, unattacked, and go and harass people to grind them down, as you say, I don't think that is a good way to be. I don't think it is a good way to live. I don't think it's the righteous thing to do, and I don't think it's okay, and I condemn that. That is not okay. Almost 500 votes in. 29%, yes, Mel Brooks for the win. 17%, you could go either way. 44% of you didn't even see the first Spaceballs. 10% of you think it's seriously going to suck. I really hope it doesn't suck. I really hope. I heard the IDF came down hard on him. Hey, Robert's in the house. Hey, Robert. So yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea if they did, because I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. Did you take the COVID vaccine? Yes, I took the initial one and 1 or 2 boosters. We were living in the Netherlands back then. Whitman says, I'm curious, I've heard of Jewish Christians trying to rebuild the temple. Is that still a thing? How do Jews view that behavior? Well, are they Jews or Christians? Are they Messianic Jews who believe that Jesus is Messiah? Or are they Christians who believe that Jesus is God? There's a major difference between those two things. There are Jews for Jesus. There are Messianic Jews. I don't know what Jewish Christians are. Are they Christians who behave in a Jewish way? Are they Jews pretending to be Christians or Christians pretending to be Jews? Either way, trying to rebuild the temple. Where? There's no construction going on the Al-Aqsa and Omar Mosque compound. So where are they trying to build it? Somewhere else? What is this? A center for ants. Josh said, I didn't get vaccinated and I took care of the infected with a paper fucking mask and gown. Good for you. I'm glad that you're doing all right, man. And you took care of the sick. Good for you. Also, Very Ordinary says, it's time for all American leaders over 75 to retire and make room for new leadership. Does being young necessarily mean being better? I mean, what is the cutoff? 35, 45, 75 is the cutoff going up. Where is the cutoff on the minimal? Is there a minimal age? I'm curious. What do you think? Hell no, I didn't get vaccinated, says Josh. What are your views on Jews for Jesus, says Goose up. It depends. If they think he was Messiah, I have no problem with that. If they think he is God, that is already idolatry, and that's against the Torah. Now, I'm not gatekeeping. We all do things that are against the Torah. It just seems to me that this is quite a fundamental thing, the kind of shift that is more than, let's say, breaking another commandment, or I don't know what. I think that thinking that the Most High God is revealed in human form and that there's a God in flesh is something really fundamental. Although you can make the argument that a lot of other commandments are just as fundamental and just as much of a cornerstone of the Hebrew faith. What do I think of them? I think that they are fine. Just don't try to convert me to Christianity and we'll get along just fine. That's pretty much it. Thoughts of new Lord of the Rings movie? I don't know. I loved the books. The movies are very cinematic. I loved the movies in the sense that, sure, it was Hollywood, but it was really, really a wonderful story. Wonderfully told. Great acting. New movies I haven't seen, nor have I seen the Rings of Power. Is it a series of movies or TV films? I don't know what it was. I didn't see that either. Nicholas says, could you possibly give me an honest and truthful answer? What percentage of Israelis are completely happy with the actions of the government today? Not a lot of people at all are happy with the way the government is acting today. To be honest and truthful, I would have to actually give you the percentage. I have not done the census. I have no idea. I'm inclined to think that even though the majority of the Hebrew people in the land of Israel are against Hamas, and even though they support the war against Hamas, they do not support the government that is fighting this war right now. And I have a feeling that come the next election, Netanyahu will be voted out of office. I have a feeling that come the next election, there will be hopefully new leadership in this country. I don't know who, I don't know how, the parties, the platforms, the candidates, I have no idea, but hopefully change will come and for the better. I have no idea. On that note, thank you. Thank you, each and every one of you, those watching now, those watching later. I don't take it for granted, right? You could be doing anything else right now, but you are here with me, live, raw from Jerusalem. It's lovely. It fills my heart with contentment and loveliness. And I, again, appreciate the subs and the likes and the views and the hate and the trolls and the spammers and the vitriol that's slung at me and the people telling me to kill myself, the people telling me to shave, the people calling me a genocidal maniac. It's all good. I thank you. I thank you. I really, really do. I hope that you people have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, evening, afternoon, whoever you are, wherever you are. I hope that you will be able to lead a life in such a way where you will be able to be a light in other people's lives. Be a blessing to others. Be blessed. God willing, I will see you on the next live stream where the wonders never cease. Incidentally, if I missed you in the chat, please leave a comment. I address every single comment that I can that is addressed to me. If you want to hit me up in the DMs, Hebrew Nazarite across the board. Look for my tree on X, TikTok, and Instagram and Facebook. I don't post much, but I'm there for the DMs. And I think that's about it. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I didn't. It's very late. It's almost 1 a.m. So I will say good night from Jerusalem. This has been so lovely. I cannot thank you enough. And those who contributed to charity today, you are awesome. Truly awesome. Peace, love, positive vibration.